Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome to the most incredible match of the year. Welcome to the TCEC Season 27 Cup Finals between the two most powerful chess engines in the world, between Stockfish 17 and Leela LCZero. As I'm recording this video, the result is +1 for Leela after 19 rounds they played so far. Nothing romantic is actually going on, I would say, because Stockfish has now huge advantage in the game that's currently going on. As I said, as I'm recording this video, probably Stockfish will also win now the next game, and probably after 20 rounds the result will be equal. I think it's a great super final so far, because we really need the competition. Usually it was a pure domination by Stockfish, also by the previous Stockfish versions, but we have to also mention in the last event of this TCEC competition, Leela LCZero actually took the win in the TCEC Season 27 Swiss event. Leela LCZero was half of the point better than Stockfish, so I think finally there's something going on. Finally we have a competition between the developers, so it's really, I think, a great super final that will follow now, of course, in the next couple of days. So let's start now with an amazing gameplay by Leela LCZero against Stockfish 17 from the super final in an amazing Austrian attack of the Pirc Defense. In my opinion, really again, epic strategies, epic tactics, really incredible game also by these two top engines. So with the white pieces, Leela opened with the move e4 d6, here the response by the fish, but as we mentioned in this TCEC competitions, the openings are prearranged, so from that from one point then the engines are calculating the position for themselves. So we have now the Pirc Defense, we have now the Austrian attack with the move f4, and now the last move that was prearranged by the organizer was now the move c6. From this point on, Leela and Stockfish have to play now their own calculations here. We have now knight to f3, bishop to g7, and now bishop to d3 by Leela, connecting everything here in the center of the board. White has this massive storm that's coming with the pawns here, can of course secure the king by castling, so obviously White has a huge space advantage in the early stage of the game. We have now castling by the fish, castling also by Leela, knight to a6, and now h3, preventing some bishop to g5 g4 stuff here by black. c5, Stockfish breaks now here the center of the board. d5 by Leela. Leela has now even a further space advantage, and in some lines, maybe if it's possible, can break the position with the move e5, or if the position also allows it, maybe with the move f5. We have now rook to b8. Stockfish is trying a maneuver, knight to c7, and then hit the flanks with the move b5, but it's a little bit too slow, because immediately Leela played a beautiful theoretical novelty, an amazing aggressive move f5 immediately. So really great stuff. There's not so much that can be done, actually. You cannot, I would say, play g takes f5 here. It's almost not possible, because after e takes f5, okay, you could maybe try this attack with b5, but as I mentioned, that this attack by black is simply too slow. You're trying maybe even to take, it's not even working, because even if you grab one pawn in this tactical sequences, the activity of white's pieces is simply too much to handle here. I just wanted to show one possible line. Of course, white and black don't have to play the game like this, but I wanted to show with this beautiful piece activity all over the board, there's not so much that can be done for black. White would simply continue the attacking flow. Look at this, in some lines that I've analyzed at home, you can get even this position, so it would be of course game over here for black. So g takes f5 here would actually mess up the structure in front of black's king too much. White would then have great attacking chances, maybe through the g file or maybe through the h file. So that's why after move f5, knight to c7 by the fish, continuing of course its own plan here on this side of the board. Leela prevents it, at least slows down the pace of the attack on this side of the board. a6, a5, again not allowing b5 to happen, but Stockfish has to somehow open the position on this side of the board, plays b5 anyway, and obviously Leela continues with a takes b6. That is of course en passant, and now black has at least some attacking chances on this side of the board. g4, Leela continues the attacking flow here on this side of the board, bishop to d7, and now this standard idea, queen to e1, that we have seen previously in one possible line that could have worked here for white. Bishop to b5, knight to b5, a takes b5. Now Stockfish connected the pawns, has of course at least something going on this side of the board, but Leela plays a calm c3 and has of course some breathing spaces for the bishop, and the bishop is still connected to the very important e4 square. The downside, maybe a little bit, just a little bit here for white, is that white's Lysko bishop is so far neutralized by its own pawn structure. It cannot be so active, but the good part again about this position of the light square bishop, that there is a certain pawn mobility, so the pawns are rolling, so it's not like this position is completely blocked here in the center of the board. If this position would be really cemented, if there's simply no possible pawn mobility here for white, then this bishop on d3 would be really bad piece. But so far I think we can agree with e5, g5, f6, this position could finally be open. So I would not say this is a bad bishop by Leela. It's just a bishop that's waiting to come into the game. We have now the move c4 by the fish, bishop to c2 by Leela, knight to d7, and now h4. Simply going for the attack, not waiting any seconds here, simply pushing the position forward. We have now rook to a6. Stockfish is challenging now Leela on the a file, and Leela says, okay, I'll take it, but now I'll continue my pressure on this side of the board. Knight to e5, and now comes, I think, the first really beautiful, stunning move here of this game. Here LeelaZero played an amazing king to g2. Great calm move, improving just the position of the king in order just to liberate, of course, the h file for the rook. You cannot even pick up the pawn. Really, really tricky idea here by Leela, because then after h takes g6, f takes g6, queen to h4, and you're trying maybe to get the knight back into the game. Then knight to g5, knight to e6 going to happen, rook to h1. I would not love to play anymore this position from black's perspective. I think it's game over here for black. My Stockfish engine that told me evaluates this position +3 here in white's favor. So too many positional but also tactical problems in black's camp for sure. So after move king to g2, that's why knight to f3. Leela traded off also here the pieces, and now knight to c5 here by the fish, trying to maybe do something here around the square d3, or maybe if the position allows it around the square b3. So Leela continues with the normal attack, g5. Stockfish plays a very interesting defensive idea here, because Stockfish wants now finally to kick away the queen, and Stockfish wants to play now a sort of a fortress here, not allowing here white to open a position in front of black's king. But of course the downside is that the bishop of blacks is now really blocked out. It's blocked out simply by its own pawn structure. After move h6 by the fish, now LeelaZero found another stunner. Here you see how it's important to find really the most active moves. Many of us, I think, would search maybe for repositions, maybe how to get the bishop into the game, but Leela again is not waiting for a second, plays now beautiful e5. This is the way to go. Let's see now what happens. For instance, if you play f takes e5, then you allow here the move g5 again for white. Then the position would probably be opened here, and I think after a couple more moves the position would collapse simply on the g file. And again, with some methods, f6, this bishop can get back into the game. So game over, I would say, also here for black. So d takes e5 here in this position instead of f takes e5 is not working anyway, because the knight is hanging down on c5. So that's why from e5 Stockfish keeps it calm. Stockfish in this particular position actually just relies on this fortress. Stockfish is, I think, not playing anymore for the win. Stockfish is just waiting here and hopes to get a fully cemented position and maybe squeeze a draw out of this mess, because really the black's pieces are so cramped they cannot simply get back into the game. Stockfish tries a counter attack with queen to a8. Leela continues with e6, allows here even Stockfish here to pick up the pawn, but LeelaZero simply relies on this position where the bishop on g7 is simply out of game. It's almost like the fish is now playing without the whole piece till the end of the game, and Leela gave up on our also pawn. But in order just to have this beautiful positional setup, and now Leela is saying, I'll try now to do something else, maybe to open the position somewhere here, and then finally include more attackers, maybe on the 7th rank, maybe trade off more pieces, maybe even going into the fully endgame stage. Because if this game reaches really the fully endgame stage, if you could just imagine this position without any minor pieces, without any, I don't know, rooks, without the queens on the board, then of course white can get this king very active, can go for this pawn. Meanwhile black's king is of course simply out of game, would have really a tough time to get back into the position. So you have here king to g3, great again improvement by Leela, queen to b7, and now rook to f1, b4, bishop to d2, b3. Stockfish continues now to attack here the queen side, but LeelaZero is simply attacking now the pawn on c4, and now a queen to d5 here by the fish. Bishop to f4, we have now rook to a1, rook to d1, attacking now the queen, and now queen to c6. Tricky move again here also by the fish, because for instance, if you try something like this, if you try queen to c4, then the issue is you get this one, rook takes b1, and then after rook takes b1, you get this one, knight to e4, and the queen is lost. It's of course here game over suddenly for white. So tricky stuff here by Stockfish also. After queen to c6, that's why bishop to e3. We have now knight to a4 by Stockfish, which my Stockfish at home is not liking. My Stockfish at home says that this is maybe even the first mistake here by the fish, because there is now a huge tactical problem in this position. But when I analyze now the game further, I couldn't even find any better solutions here for white. Pardon me, for black. Even if you try, I don't know, just to repeat moves, just in order, I don't know, to create again this fortress position, you're trying of course to get a draw out of this. Then after bishop to d4, look at this, you're trying something like bishop to f8, then king to h3, you get out of this mess that we have talked about because of queen to c4, as we mentioned, rook to b1, knight takes e4 is again winning the game. Then you place first of all king to h3, and then after queen to b5, here again I would say black should be much better, and in some lines I think even ideas like g5 could work, just in order, I don't know, to somehow open the position for light square bishop, or maybe to get the queen into the attack through the h file. Also, what's the problem? There's always the possibility to get the queen further on light square. So again, I would say pretty messy position here for black. It's hard to say really which is now the best line here for black to defend this position, because white has such a better activity. Pieces are all over the place, so that's why I'm not sure really if this move knight to a4 was such a big mistake, because Stockfish, you see now, has a beautiful idea here in mind after bishop to e4 that Leela LCZero played. Stockfish played now queen to e4, allowed here even this idea, rook takes a1, just in order to get this move, knight takes c3. So Stockfish calculated now a beautiful sequence which seemingly could be working, but Leela kept it calm. Look at this, after b takes c3 and b2, queen takes b2 and queen to e3. It seems so that Stockfish has now always the possibility to deliver checks till the end of the game, but it's actually not so, because Leela, as I said, also calculated everything in a good way. Queen to f4, king to h1, and now there are basically two choices. You can continue to deliver more checks, or you can maybe play the move queen to g4. But then after something like rook to f1, you're trying, I don't know, to somehow deliver further checks. Even if you try queen to c3, maybe this was just one of the ways to go here for Stockfish, continuing the game maybe here with the pawn mobility. But the g file attack, I think, again also is something that bothers now Stockfish in the continuation of the game. So here maybe after king to h1, queen to g4 was a better choice for Stockfish, but Leela got challenged in this way, queen to e4 by Stockfish, which again my Stockfish engine at home doesn't like. It's saying you should go for the pawns, hoping to get the best out of it. But now after queen to e4, finally queen to g2 can happen, and now Leela will simply keep now this pawn on g4 on the board. Queen to e3 here by the fish, king to h2, good move, allowing even queen to c3, but now the rook is finally coming into the game. What Stockfish is of course relying on here is this pawn mobility of these two connected passers on the c and d file, which is, I think, very interesting idea. Stockfish sacrificed, you see, around the square c3, sacrificed the knight, delivered some checks, got at least the position where he's only down the exchange, but now has this pawns rolling. So still, I would say a very dangerous position also for white, because when I analyze these games at home, I always try to think of this position when maybe two human would play, or what kind of an outcome this game would have. And I guarantee you, even in this position, many times black would win the game in human level. This is just AI chess in which the engines can really calculate in such a great depth. So now after rook to d1, obviously, okay, you're stopping now the progress of the d pawn, but Stockfish, you see, continues now with the normal plan, c3, c2, and similar stuff. So the pawns are slowly but surely marching here all over the board. Rook to d4, we have now king to h7, and now queen to e2 here by Leela LCZero. Queen to b8. Even if you try now maybe to push the pawn on c3, this wasn't played in the game, but seems tempting. Actually, it's not working because of rook to c4. You're trying d5, then the rook is coming here, and then you're trying d4, but then g5. That's the move that I've discussed in one moment of this video. G5, in order to open also up the position in front of Black's king, Black has to be also careful because, for instance, if you try f takes G5, then f6, bishop to f6, and then queen to d3, and the game is over. You get the king here, queen to g6, and it's a beautiful checkmate. Even if you try to take with this pawn, then h6, just further opening up now the position. Now you go for this one. Maybe Black could go for the trade of queens, but now when you disconnect these two pawns, when the pawns are not connected, two connected pass pawns are really, really tough to handle, but now they're disconnected and it's a different story. You go for this one and you will probably catch up also this one. This pawn is marching, so again, game over here, I would say, for Black. So nothing is working. You see, even to push the pawn on c3 seems tempting, but it's actually not working here for the Stockfish engine. So that's why queen to b8 by the fish. Leela tries to improve now the position of the king, goes now for the c4 pawn, and I think finally the position is collapsing. Stockfish is trying now to deliver some checks, and now we have bishop to f8, rook to c4, queen to e5, and now queen to c3, again hoping for the trades of queens. Stockfish is not allowing that, and suddenly pushes now the pawn on the d file. Leela continues with rook to a4, d4, and now rook takes d4. So see, Black's position is paralyzed. Black cannot include his bishop into the game. Again, here Stockfish is just relying on this fortress idea. Maybe Stockfish is hoping for that Leela cannot get into the game, but actually now the main plan by White is here somehow to get the king here on this square on f7. If that happens somehow, then the position is actually winning here for White. So it's really, really tricky stuff. Again, I'm pointing out many of us wouldn't win this game with the white pieces, wouldn't eventually find the best solutions, because there's always the possibility the queen is active, will always deliver some checks, and very, very also tough then to play with the white pieces. Queen to g2, we have now here queen to d2 by Leela c0, queen to g3 by Stockfish, and now Leela is trying to march with the king towards this square e8. We have now rook to b4, Leela is covering, Stockfish of course is trying to deliver some checks, and Leela again hopes to trade off the queens to simplify the game, and then it would be of course a completely winning endgame. Then for White, queen to f4, so Leela continues now to march with the king, marches to the square b6, and now again to the square b7. Again a new check, Leela covers. Here Stockfish took now the pawn on g4, but now Leela plays the calm king, queen to d5, allows here even Stockfish to take further the pawns just in order to bring the king, as we said, on this beautiful square. And now the position is really over here. Rook to a4, queen to g3, queen to d1, bishop to h6, and now rook to g4. Great move here by Leela c0. First of all, allowing here to this queen to be activated, but now the queen is coming finally on this square. f7, look at this, we can even cover here, and after rook to d8, queen takes d8, and king takes d8. After a couple of trades of queens, again the position is over, because here Leela found a beautiful endgame tactic. Rook takes g5, now f6, and here from h3, and f takes e7 in this particular position. Stockfish 17 resigns. So great game by Leela c0. Really beautiful strategic game. First of all, with this beautiful novelty on f5 against the Pirc Defense with his Austrian attack, then maneuvering the queen to the g and h file, allowing here Stockfish to have its fun on this side of the board. So really great beautiful game here by Leela c0. So let's check out now really what happened in the last game. I'm going to just, okay, let's see this live TCEC. Okay, let me see schedule. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Stockfish won now this last game, which means the result is equal, 10 points for Stockfish and 10 points for Leela c0. So it will be incredible. It will be, I think, a tense battle. That's what I was hoping for. I don't want to see Stockfish destroying Leela c0 with a clear result. I really watch this competition, and look at this. The Berserk chess engine is now slowly but surely becoming the third force in the computer chess world. Very interesting stuff. It beat the Ceres chess engine in the battle for the third place. Ceres I think is an engine that we should also follow in the next couple of months. It improved rapidly now in the last couple of months, becomes now also very interesting engine. We have mentioned previously in a couple of years ago, in which it had some great games against the Stockfish engine. Now it's also improving. Look at this, it's changing a little bit the ranking list in the computer chess for very interesting stuff. We know that the Dragon engine was always great. We had also the Tor chess engine, also this you see Berserk, Veriditas, Obsidian, Lizard. Who knows what the developers will do? So far it's again the pure domination by the most powerful chess engines, Stockfish and LCZero. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Austrian attack of the Pirc Defense. If you want to see some other beautiful AI chess games here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our playlist. Here's the link. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.